Okay, this is part 2 of my virtual human anatomy lab. We're going to start with talking about the lower extremities. The first half of the video is on the first top and it goes into the lower extremity, but I had some technical difficulties and the video stopped, so we're going to do this again. We're gonna get it. That's okay. Okay, so we're back to the human body. We talked about the first top of the body. We went over the cranial and the face bones. We went through the sternum, the rib cages. We went through the humerus, the ulna, the radius, the carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, and now we're going to the lower part of our body. We're looking at the pelvic region of our body, also known as the oxycoxa or our hip bone region. It's the vertebrae that's fused with the pelvic bone, the pelvic girdle, or the sacrum, and then it goes into the femur bone. So that's where we're headed, traveling down the body. Okay, so this is just my little man again, and she's just showing us again the parts of the human body. And like I said, this is the reason where we're going down the leg. Okay, so as you look at the leg, the red area right here is the patella. That's our kneecap. It's actually right above it is our femur bone, which is the longest bone in our body. We also have our tibia and fibula, makes up the two longer bones in our legs. The tibia is the taller bone, the thicker bone is the T-bone, and then the fibula is the outer kind of thinner bone. Okay, so like I said again, the femur bone is here, and then we have our patella, and then we have our tibia, which is the red bone, and then we have our fibula, which is the outer bone. Okay, in this cool little graphic, we're going to look at the tarsals, the metatarsals, and the phalanges. So like in the hands, where we have our carpals, our metacarpals, our phalanges, the feet kind of mimics the same. So we have our tarsals, which are kind of what you would say would be the top of the purple area. And then our metatarsals would be the color area and these areas right here. And then our phalanges, of course, would be our toes. So, that's the end of our recap. So, that's the end of our talk on the human anatomy. So, let's recap what we went through very quickly, okay? So, we went through the process of, we just simply looked at our skeletal system from head to toe. And we found out from our skeletal system that we have 206 bones in our body. That when we're younger, our bones were small and that they fuse together. Okay, after that, we know that bones are important because they give us support, they give us protection, they protect our organs, they help with a major process with red blood cells. With making red blood cells out of the bone marrow in our body. We also learned that our exoskeletal system consists of our brain and our spinal and our neck and our spinal cord, and then we have our appendicular skeletal system, which is like our upper part of our extremities and our lower part of our extremities. The one thing about human anatomy that I like to let everyone know that repetition is the key to studying it. Human anatomy is very fascinating. It's very multi-layered science, like a cake, like a layered cake. You start with the basics. You start with going through the skeletal part of the body. You start with the bones. You learn the bones, and then once you get that down pat, you can go back and begin to learn the ridges and the grooves, because a lot of these bones have names for certain ridges and grooves that are on them, and it gets a little bit, it can get very detailed. So with human anatomy, you just go through it. You learn it, you go through it, you build upon it, and then after you do that, then you can add the multi-layered to it. You can add the ridges and the grooves to it. So this is my TED Talk PowerPoint. I hope you learned like a refresher on the basics of human anatomy and the skeletal system. It's very important, a part of your foundation. If you are a nursing student, if you are a human anatomy student, if you're like me, and you're gonna be looking at the human body for a lifetime, it's important that I know the foundation. The skeletal system is the foundation to human anatomy. So thank you for listening. And like I said, due to technical difficulties, there are 2 videos, but thank you.